24-year-old file clerk Barbie Smith is suing 22-year-old student Angeline Romero for damages resulting from a road rage assault.
Yeah, this is case number 45 on the calendar, the matter of Smith versus Romero. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Smith, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you while you were crossing a street.
Yes,
you were
ma'am.
crossing the street, she was driving her car. Ms. Romero, who you didn't know prior to this incident, says that whatever she did, she acted in self-defense. So why don't you tell me when this happened?
The date was January 28th. It was a Tuesday, about 8:50 in the morning.
January 28th of 2003 at 8:50 a.m.
Yes.
And where did it happen?
On the corner of Cherokee and Bayard.
All right, and what were you doing there?
I was getting off the bus going to school, and I proceeded to cross the street.
How wide is the street?
I have exactly the pictures right here.
Thanks, Bert. Okay, I see where you got off the bus and I see the street. So tell me what happened.
I proceeded to cross the street. I was halfway there. All of a sudden I heard honking, just honking, and she proceeded to push on the gas and bump my knee. And
were you walking slowly?
No, I wasn't. I was walking my normal. I did it every day. And
who do you live with, Miss Smith?
I live by myself with me and my kids.
How many children do you have?
3.
And how do you support yourself?
I'm a file clerk right now.
Okay, do you get any sort of disability?
No. But I am currently going through therapy ever since this happened.
Prior to this happening?
Prior to this happening.
Whatever. Sorry.
Before this happened, were you getting any treatment?
No. Before
any medication?
No. And I traveled that road. I traveled that road every time.
So you're crossing the street and she hit your knee with the car. And then what happened?
As soon as I got on the phone with the cops.
You got on the phone or she did?
No, as soon as I grabbed the phone from the passerby saying she was going to call the cops, she reached into her car and threw a bottle at my chest and then took off. She just took off. I got her license plate number, though, and that's when I had called the cops. I got a police report.
Can I see it, please? Who was this lady who's with you?
This is my mother.
Okay, I just wanted to know. She wasn't there that day?
No. But she saw bruises on me from the bottle. She had to take me to school because I was so scared to catch the bus because nothing like this ever happened to me. And I was just a pedestrian. It could have happened to anybody. She was just, I guess, having a bad day and took it out on me.
Did you seek medical treatment?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Can I see the medical report, please?
And I am currently still having back pains and going through therapy. I think I missed about a week of school after that. I couldn't even go to school that day because I was so traumatized of what she did to me. And any other time I would have been very, very aggressive towards her. I didn't even touch this lady. All we did was argue. She's the one that assaulted me. And
okay.
I feel so traumatized.
All right, Ms. Romero, now I'll hear you.
Okay. She was in the middle of the street. There was no signs or, she was just in the middle of the street.
Look at me. Driving. Look at me.
Sorry. I was driving. I honked at her so she could get out of the street. She then walks up to my car, hits my car with her hand. So, I get out of my car partially so I could tell her to get out of the way. Then she starts cussing at me, talking trash to me. So a lady comes and says, I'm going to call the cops on you. You guys break it up. So I'm getting back in my car. She slams the door on my leg. So in self-defense, she would not get out of the way. I had a plastic bottle of juice. It wasn't even full. I threw it at her so she'd get out of the way. I left. I didn't know what. She's twice my size. I don't know what she was going to do. So I left. There was not even a police case. They dropped it.
Let's go back.
Okay.
She had just gotten off the bus and she was crossing the street. Is that right?
More like messing around in the street.
I don't know what you mean messing around in the street.
Okay. Well, she was in the middle of the street, basically.
And you were coming down that street.
Right.
How far away from her was your car when you first saw her?
a few feet.
That's impossible. Had you just turned onto the street?
Yeah, no, I was driving down the street.
Right. So
She
if
was
you're
in the middle of the street, so
Ms. Romero, I want you to pay attention. You're driving down the street. I'm sitting in my car. I'm looking to the back of the courtroom. Let us say Miss Smith was standing in the middle of the courtroom back there. I would see her from a distance of, let us say, 30 feet. So when you say you saw when she was a couple of feet away from you, that's stupid. Do you understand? You're driving down the street, and how far away from your car was she when you first saw her?
Oh, okay.
Duh.
I don't know.
Point to something in this room.
Okay, I saw her like from here.
From
in the
where you
street.
are to where?
To that guy right there. For me,
Officer Bird.
Officer
So that's
Bird.
probably about 20 feet.
Okay.
So you were paying attention enough to see her approximately 20 feet away from you. Should have been more, because if you were paying attention, you were more than 20 feet into the street, right?
Right.
What were you doing? Were you on the phone?
No.
Now, when you saw her from approximately 20 feet away, where was she in this street? Was she in the middle of the
She
street?
was in my lane. When I was driving, she was in my lane, like standing, whatever she was doing.
Well, she wasn't just standing there. She was walking across the street slowly,
Yeah.
right?
She should have.
Listen to me. She was walking across the street very slowly, correct? She's not an idiot. She's not just standing in the middle of the street contemplating, her navel. She's walking, maybe she was daydreaming about something, but she's walking across the street very slowly. So what did you do?
I stopped a few feet in front of her, honked my horn at her.
Why did you honk your horn?
Because she wouldn't get out of the street.
That's not true. She was crossing the street. She was just crossing
Well,
slowly.
she should have crossed at a crosswalk. That's what they're for. Not to mess around in the street, really. She was in the street, walking slowly, so I stopped, I honked at her.
So why didn't you wait
She
for me to
gets-
cross?
Shh, just a second.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Don't answer her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry would be nice here for acting badly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Put your hand down. Go like this with your nails. Go like this. Good. Now stop.
And later today,
The two of you were out there tooling around on the jet skis. Mr. Kilgore says this accident happened and it was your fault. You hit his jet ski. So I want to know which one of you was at fault. You can huddle and you can make up your mind. Get together.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Barbie Smith claims Angeline Romero assaulted her while crossing the street. Angeline claims Barbie slapped her car.
Somebody is crossing the street. This is not a busy thoroughfare. There aren't a lot of cars there. That's the kind of street it looks like because I saw pictures of it. You had several choices. You could have just sat in your car and waited for her to get across the street. If she's slow, she's slow. Some people are fast, some people are slow. You're not the crosswalk monitor. It's not your job to tell her by honking your horn that she should have crossed the street at some other location. She was crossing the street. Pedestrian always has the right of way. Did you ever hear that statement?
Yeah, but also, if you see a car coming at you, I'm sure you would hurry it up. Not
Well, I certainly would.
lollygag in the street when a car's coming.
Oh
What?
my God.
That maybe is true. But you're driving a car, several thousand pounds of vehicle, and she is crossing the street. Miss Romero, so you can't act like a jerk. Which you did. You acted like a jerk. And you can't. And I believe that that's exactly what you did. Once you honked your horn, she got annoyed, and maybe she just stood there. Is that right?
Right.
I mean, I could...
I was
Certain
traumatized.
things, listen to me, don't get me traumatized, Miss Smith.
Traumatized by what?
Miss
I didn't-
Romero,
Sorry.
shut your mouth. You did the wrong thing. 100% wrong thing. She didn't act in a smart fashion because once you honked your horn, instead of moving along, you said, what's she honking her horn at? And I'm going to just stand here and really irritate her. Right?
I really didn't want
Look,
to.
hey, don't fool around with me. You just stood there. And then she crept up her car and she hit you with the bumper.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Sure you did, because that's what the doctor says. Sure you did. Wrong, 100% wrong. And you were 100% wrong. Because what you should have done is, when Miss Idiot over here decided to honk the horn at you, you should have just walked across the street.
Right.
And forgotten about it. Even your mother knows that's true, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You try to avoid a confrontation, Miss Smith. You don't try to precipitate one. She didn't act like a responsible driver.
Right.
You acted like a hothead pedestrian. And I also believe that once she hit you or got close enough to you to touch you with her bumper, you slammed her car with your hand. Like
Yeah,
that.
like, what are you doing?
Just a minute. Like that. Right?
Right.
You forgot to tell me that, Miss Smith. How come in your story you forgot to tell me that? Do you understand there are certain things that have a common human experience? If you live long enough, you've seen it. I have actually witnessed my own husband crossing the street, and he felt as if a car got too close. Slapped the car. And he is what I consider a relatively intelligent man. A man, so those things are not necessarily, yeah. But I've seen him do that. And I've seen a lot of other people do that. So that's what you did. I know that's what you did.
Yeah, I do that.
And then she got out of her car and she threw a bottle at you. Further stupid. Further stupid. Put your hand down. Go like this with your nails. Go like this. Good. Now stop. If I had to choose fault, you would be at fault. Because you had no right to honk your horn at her. She is the pedestrian. She has the right of way. She may have been traveling too slowly for you. If she were walking with a walker or a cane, maybe you would have been smart enough to stop and not honk your horn. But maybe you're that stupid that you felt as if people who have walkers and people with canes should walk at some place other than where I'm driving. So ultimately, it's your fault. And you have to be punished for being at fault. You, however, don't get what you're looking for. And what you're looking for in this lawsuit is, for your aggravation, pain, and suffering, $5,000. I want you to get that figure out of your mind, because you are partially responsible for all of this because you decided to play, I'm not getting out of the street. I'm entitled to be in this street as much as she's entitled to drive in this street. So you had a lot of aggravation. You had a little bit of pain and suffering. That's worth $500. That's your judgment. Judge for the plaintiff.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think she needs to stop calling me stupid.
I'm satisfied with it.
She needs to get a life
It was all about respecting other people
and stop trying to sue everybody.
and letting other people cross the street.
Probably doesn't have a job, so she needs to sue someone.
And it was wrong.
The police dropped the whole case.
Denver Police Department is, they go after the big crimes.
There was no criminal case or anything.
They really don't care about little cases, so
Look at her, she wanted to fight me. She's twice my size.
just watch out for people and
There's no way I'm gonna go, you know, try and fight her.
how they drive.
Obviously nothing happened.
Yeah, it was a victory.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Camper versus Kilgore. Step forward, please.
27-year-old accountant Amy Camper is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old customer service rep Justin Kilgore, for wrecking her Sea-Doo.
Ms. Camper, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours, and you claim that last summer he was riding your Sea-Doo, which is one of those water things that you drive and everybody drives too fast. And he had an accident and he caused some damage. You want him to pay for the damage. Mr. Kilgore says that he was riding the Sea-Doo. There was an accident. It was Stevie's fault, not his fault. Stevie ran into him. And aside from that, you should have had insurance because you let everybody drive your Sea-Doo, and you shouldn't have let him nor anyone else drive it unless you had appropriate insurance. That's your defense.
Correct.
So there was an accident.
Yes.
What was the date?
October 26th
And where were you riding the Sea-Doo?
on the Colorado River up by Parker, Arizona.
This wouldn't happen to be Stevie, would it?
Yes.
You're Stevie.
Yeah.
Step up here. Did you run into this jet ski?
Yes, I did.
Why did you do that?
I didn't do it on purpose.
Well, tell me about
We
it.
were riding on the Colorado River. I rear-ended him.
You rear-ended him.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Stevie rear-ended him.
Justin turned in front of Stevie. Stevie hit Justin's wake and landed on top of my Sea-Doo.
Okay. So, Stevie, this accident was your fault.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, whose fault was it?
It's, you play at your own risk out there.
No.
It's,
Listen to me. Can't have it both ways. Miss Camper, she's on land. The two of you are out there tooling around on the jet skis. Mr. Kilgore says this accident happened and it was your fault. You hit his jet ski. So I want to know which one of you was at fault. You can huddle and you can make up your mind. Get together. Get together.
you know, I'll take it. It's mine.
Was it your
It's my
fault?
Sure.
Was it your fault?
Yeah.
So, Miss Kemper, this is the story. You go and sue Stevie.
Okay.
You now have an acknowledgement.
Okay.
Right? It's his fault.
Okay.
Okay? Let me see the damage. That's a substantial amount of damage. You understand that you're responsible for this damage, sir?
I haven't seen the pictures.
I'm going to show you the pictures. Did you get an estimate?
Yes.
What was the estimate? Just tell me.
$1,350.
That's what you're going to be responsible for, Stevie. $1,300. No question. You acknowledge the accident was your fault? Clear?
I have insurance, and she does not.
So?
So, I mean, why? This is an insurance issue.
No. It's not an insurance issue, sir. If you want your insurance to pay for it, you call your insurance carrier and you tell your insurance carrier that you were involved. Pay careful attention. Take your hands out of your pockets and pay careful attention. You call your insurance company, you say, I hit Miss Kemper's vehicle. It was my fault, which you've just acknowledged, and I want my insurance carrier to pay for the damage. Do you understand? What's the name of your insurance carrier? Name of the insurance carrier.
You know what? I'm not sure. I didn't even bring it because I wasn't the one getting sued.
Just a second. Well, I want you to think hard, Stevie. Who insures your car?
Okay, AAA.
Does AAA also insure your Sea-Doo?
No.
Who insures your Sea-Doo?
I'm not sure. If I knew that, I would have told you by now.
Take out your wallet. Take out your driver's license.
This pissing me off.
Bird, get his driver's license, please.
Sure.
We'll get it back to you, Mr. Stevie, as soon as we get a copy of it for the plaintiff. As soon as we get a copy of this, we'll return it to you. And then, Ms. Camper, you can sue the appropriate person if he doesn't want to report it to insurance. Do you understand?
Okay, yes.
Perfect. Case against you is dismissed, sir. Thank you very much. That's
Parties
all.
are excused. You may step out.
Room manager Linnell Bauer is suing the father of her child, computer tech Daniel Villa, for an unpaid loan to buy a truck. Daniel says Linnell wanted him to have safe transportation for their daughter.
Quiet in the court, please. Now, this is case number 120 on the calendar, the matter of Bauer versus Villa. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Miss Bauer, when were you and your husband married?
April 12th, 2003.
And in what year do you allege that you made loans to Mr. Villa?
2001, September and December.
Have a seat, sir. Your husband really isn't a party to this action, unless facts prove me mistaken. You were living with or in a relationship with Mr. Villa, is that correct, when you made these loans?
No, I was not.
But you made a loan to him?
Yes, I did. I was away on a business trip and he had called me and he was telling me that the current transportation he had was unsafe for our daughter when he had her on his weekends, and he was looking to upgrade and improve his vehicle for her safety.
When had your relationship with the defendant terminated?
Final termination was probably June of 1999.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, it is.
So you were away on a business trip and the defendant had physical custody of the child?
During that weekend.
Okay, so he called you and said what?
He called to let me know that he was looking for safer transportation for our daughter. He needed a better vehicle to get to and from work. And he was asking if I could loan him the money for the down payment for a vehicle that he had found.
And what did you say?
I was hesitant at first because of the amount he was looking for. But,
What was he looking for?
He was looking for $2,000.
You were hesitant first, but?
He was insistent on how the vehicle he had was not safe for our daughter. He needed something better. So I finally gave in and spoke to the owner of the car dealer, gave them my credit card number, and took care of the transaction via the phone.
Did you draw up any papers with him?
I did not. We had a verbal agreement of repayment.
And the repayment schedule was going to be what?
As soon as possible.
That's not a schedule. And if you took this money off your credit card, that means that you were paying credit card charges.
Correct.
Did he make a payment in October?
No, he did not. I believe the first payment may have shown up in December.
In what amount?
$50.
In 2002, did he make any payments whatsoever?
Not again until September of 2002.
In what amount?
$50.
Now, that wasn't the only loan that you allege that you made to Mr. Villa. What was the other loan you allege you made to him?
The other loan took place on December 5th, also 2001. He had scheduled a dentist appointment for himself and our daughter. They both left for the dentist office, and I get a call about a half an hour later. There was an emergency, I need you to come down here. When I arrived at the dentist office, he pulled me into a room and he said, Angel's fine, but I'm not. I need help with my teeth. Can you loan me some money so I can get the tools I need to repair my gum line?
And you said?
I said yes.
And what arrangements did you make to get the money back from him?
At that time, we had also discussed that the truck loan was still outstanding and that the payments needed to at least
And
double.
he hadn't made a payment in September, October, November. Well, you said he made one in December.
Yes.
So for 3 months, he hadn't paid you any money, so you loaned him another $750. Is that right?
That's correct.
How much child support was he paying you?
$600 a month.
Does he pay his child support?
It's garnished from his wages, yes.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Well, as far as the truck is concerned, yes, I was looking to upgrade my transportation, and I actually did put down a post-dated check for $2,000. And once after speaking with Linnell, she offered to give me the $2,000 on her credit card, so I did not have to put a post-dated check because I would have had to scramble for the money. And that's what she did. She put it on her credit card as a gift to me.
Well, you say it was a gift, sir.
Yes.
I would like to hear your version, and I want you to be very careful that you don't say anything that doesn't make sense to me, because if you say something that doesn't make sense to me, you're going to be really sorry and really humiliated. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. So, you had physical custody of your daughter for a weekend.
Correct.
And you called the plaintiff.
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to her when you called her?
I let her know that I did.
What did you say? Watch my mouth. What did you say to her?
I found a truck.
And she said?
Good.
And you said?
I let her know that I had to put down
No,
$2,000.
you're not let her know. I told her.
I told her that I had to write a post-dated check for $2,000.
Why would she be interested in that information, Mr. Villa?
I don't know.
Well, you told her. I mean, it's not something. If Bert called me and I said, "Hi, Bert. Oh, it's nice to hear from you. How's everything? How is the weather in the Bay Area?" And he'd say, "Fine. How's the weather in the Northeast? By the way, I had to give a post-dated check to the truck dealership." Do you understand how stupid you sound, Mr. Villa? I told you, if you say something foolish, I'm going to make a fool out of you. So when I said to you, why would she want to know that information? You said, I don't know why. Because you were asking her for something. Right.
I don't see it that way. I saw it as her offering.
Evidently, you're not thinking too clearly. You called her to tell her that you found a truck. She said, good. You told her, I had to give them a post-dated check. And she said...
Do you want me to put it on my credit card instead?
And you said what?
No problem.
You're lucky they garnish his wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a slickie. Maybe she still had feelings for you at the time, and maybe you played on that. Either way, you're not a nice person. You're slick.
And later today,
Don't you want to read the police report? Excuse me?
I got everything that I needed from you without the police report.
No, you need to read the police report.
No, Mr. Hatfield, I don't have to do anything.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linnell Bauer says the father of her child, Daniel Villa, owes for a loan to buy a truck and for the cost to fix his teeth.
Now you're going to tell me about your teeth.
Yes.
I'm going to give you the same admonition that I gave you before. Don't tell me anything that doesn't make sense, because if it doesn't make sense, it's not true, and I'm going to make a fool out of you. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
So, then let's hear about your teeth.
Well, that's correct. My daughter and I did have a dentist appointment, and I was told that my teeth were very bad and needed to be done. I did call Annelle, yes, to come over. I wanted to talk to her. I let her know that I did not...
Not let her know. I told her.
I told her that I did not have the money, and I was going to work up the money to pay this dentist off. And she said, I will put it on my credit card for you.
And then you can pay me back.
And repayment was never discussed.
You're a slickie. You're slick. That's all. This is your husband?
Yes.
Nice guy?
Yes, he is.
You have a separate bank account?
Yes, we do.
Smart girl. Can I see the last statement on your credit card bill, please?
The credit card has long since been paid off.
Oh, good.
I do have a payment schedule that I have received from Mr. Villa showing what he has paid to date.
What has he paid to date?
The total amount is $350 that he has paid.
He at least owes you $27.50. Even if he paid $350, that hardly covers the interest. Okay. Mr. Villa, I said to you, if you say something foolish, I'm going to make you look foolish. There is no question in my mind that you called this lady, who was the mother of your child, and prevailed upon her to put some money that you needed on a credit card instead of writing a post-dated check, because you absolutely intended to make good on a post-dated check. You weren't going to give the truck company a bad check. You were just going to give them a check and say, hold it for a couple of days or hold it for a week. I want this truck. So you prevailed upon her. Maybe she still had feelings for you at the time, and maybe you played on that. Either way, you're not a nice person. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,750. That's all.
The parties are excused. You may step out.
What's done is done.
I think Judge Judy saw what I saw.
She's out of my life, and that's all that matters.
If somebody loaned you money, why would you ever make payments on it?
They're greedy. They got their money. It's the bottom line.
Once you allow someone to take advantage of you repeatedly, they keep trying to do it.
We're looking to move on with our lives. Just take it one day at a time.
Family issues shouldn't be broadcasted.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hatfield versus Siegel. Step forward, please.
Carpenter J. Hatfield is suing his ex-fiancée, Darlene Siegel, for stealing money from his wallet and for the return of the engagement ring.
Mr. Hatfield, according to what I read, you and the defendant were in a long-term relationship, and you lived together. How long had you been living together?
About 3 years, Your Honor.
Do you have children together?
No, ma'am.
And there came a time when you were arrested in the home.
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
October 28th, 02.
What were you arrested for?
I'm not completing my work project.
As a condition of probation for another
For a prior
crime?
offense, yeah.
What kind of an offense?
It was a drug offense.
Okay. Your complaint, Mr. Hatfield, is that when you were arrested in your home, the defendant went into your wallet, took out some cash, in effect stealing your money. And in addition, since you subsequently broke up, you want her to return an engagement ring. Ms. Siegel says that she does, in fact, acknowledge that she took the money out of the wallet. She says that she used it to pay household bills while you were in jail. And the ring, she says, was a ring that was given to her a very long time ago that was not an engagement ring. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
So, how much money did you have in the wallet, Mr. Hatfield?
There was $2,300 cash.
What were you doing with $2,300 in cash?
I'd sold my truck for 10 grand cash, and I had already had my loan approved for a new Tahoe. I was supposed to go down Monday morning and pay the $3,000 down payment and drive away in my Tahoe.
You sold the old truck for $10,000 in cash, and all you had left was $2,300?
Well,
What'd
yes,
you do
Your
with the
Honor.
rest?
We went to Reno for the weekend. We did, I paid some other bills, and that's what I saved because that's what I needed for the down payment on my truck.
How long did you spend in Reno?
Just one night.
You spent $7,000 in one night?
No, Your Honor. I had other bills I had to pay, and
Like what?
for one thing, I had to pay the truck off. That was $4,000, I believe, if I remember rightly. So I went grocery shopping, spent about $400 on groceries, and
Okay. Now, you were arrested on the 28th of October. How long did you spend in jail?
I had a 26-day commitment.
So you were released sometime in November.
November 21st, to be exact.
When did you find out that Miss Siegel had spent the money?
When I came home, she said she...
Tell me about the conversation. You said, "Where's my money?"
Yeah.
And she said?
She said, finally she admitted that she took the wallet, because she denied it. She was still denying it for a couple days after I got home.
Well, what did she say to you?
She said she took the wallet and spent my money on bills. household bills, electricity, I guess. I don't know. She never could produce any receipts for me.
Well, you were away on the 1st of November.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right? Did you pay rent?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a mortgage payment?
We split everything 50-50
Was there a mortgage payment due November 1st,
Yes.
Mr. Hatfield?
for $600.
So that's,
That would be my half.
when you went to jail, did you make provisions for that mortgage payment?
And I didn't really have time to make provisions for anything.
So you had expected, I assume, Miss Siegel, to somehow make that mortgage payment.
Oh, yeah.
With what?
With her check that she got paid.
Not with yours.
Not with the down payment for my truck.
But the bank expects their money on November 1st.
Yes, they do.
You didn't get out till November 21st.
That's correct.
You certainly didn't need a truck while you were in prison.
No.
And then there are other bills that come into the house on the beginning of the month. So that it would be fair to say that at least some of the money that she spent was money that she spent appropriately as a responsible person in maintaining the house.
I grant you that.
Perfect. Now, after she acknowledged to you several days after November 21st that she did spend this money on bills, you said you were out a couple of days in jail and she finally admitted to you that she spent the money. So let's say it's the 23rd of November. When did you finally separate the two of you?
Oh, about a month later, month and a half later.
So the beginning of January?
Yes, sir.
From November 23rd until the beginning of January, where did you sleep?
Pardon me? Where did I sleep? In my bed.
Where did Miss Siegel sleep?
In my bed.
So after she acknowledged to you that she had taken this money and paid the bills, you cohabited together as you had before for the previous 3 years. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. And it would be fair to say, Mr. Hatfield, that but for the fact that the two of you broke up sometime in January of 2003, we would not be standing here today.
I wouldn't say that.
I would.
Well, that's you. That's not me.
I'm the only one that counts. Because if you felt that someone was a thief, like Miss Siegel, then you would either call the police, and if you didn't want to do that because of the relationship, you certainly would leave or tell her to leave or separate. But certainly you wouldn't, by cohabiting together, give her the impression that what she did in spending this money was either forgiven or appropriate.
Never gave her that impression whatsoever.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Hatfield. When you shared the same bed together, did you share the same bed together in the biblical sense, sir?
What do you mean? We slept together, yeah. That doesn't mean it was okay to steal my wallet and spend my money.
That's what you think.
And then throw my wallet in the trash
That's
somewhere.
what you think. You
That's
see, you know
what
what? You know what a woman thinks? I took the money, he went to jail. We had bills to pay. We had mortgage, we had gas, we had electric, we had sewer, we had garbage, we had credit card bills, we had whatever we had. I took the money. By the way, she says it was a lot less than $2,300. Is that right?
That's right.
How much was it?
$1,700 cash.
Okay. So a woman says, I used that money to pay bills. And you get mad and you have an explosion. How could you take my wallet? And how could you spend the money without my permission? That was a... But honey, let's go to bed. So a woman says to herself, mad. He's not so mad because, you know, we're living together as a family.
Where else would we live?
Not together.
When I got out of jail, I had no
Not
truck, no
together.
money, no job.
You could live on the couch.
Excuse me? I owned everything in the house.
Did you tell her to leave?
Eventually.
No. On the 21st or the 22nd of November, Mr. Hatfield, did you say, get out, you stole my wallet?
No,
Or
I
did you
not.
say, come to bed, honey? Two different things, Mr. Hatfield.
Wasn't like that, but we were arguing and fighting for the whole month.
It's possible.
Because of this.
That's possible. But in between, Mr. Hatfield, in between, there was between the sheets.
Do you think
And
we
then
had
the
sex?
law-
Is that what
and-
you're
and the
asking me?
law-
Did we have
and then
sex
the
during
law-
that time?
Shh, listen to me.
No, we did not.
Did you just say to me, Mr. Hatfield, am I asking you to abstain for all that time? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Did you abstain while you were in prison?
You betcha.
Now, let's get to the engagement ring. When did he give you this ring, Miss Siegel?
I don't remember exact date, but it was about 2 years ago.
Let me see it.
I no longer have the ring
Why not?
because when I took it off to take a shower and it was at his house, I don't know, it's not there. I don't have it any longer.
I don't believe that either.
I don't have it.
Well, let me see the bill for the ring.
She had that too. She took the receipt and the warranty for the ring and everything else.
Just a second. So, what you have to do if you come to court is you go to the jeweler and say, I lost my receipt. Could you please give me another one?
I have a statement from him. I don't know.
I don't read statements from him. I need a receipt from the jeweler. That's what's necessary. Anyway, Mr. Hatfield, you don't have the case. If you no longer have a relationship with Miss Siegel, you have to put a period and say goodbye. It's over.
Don't you want to read the police report? Excuse me?
I got everything that I needed from you without the police report.
No, you need to read the police report.
No, Mr. Hatfield, I don't have to do anything. All I know is that you were incarcerated on the 28th of October. You got out of jail the 21st of November. According to you, the issue of what happened to the money was resolved on or about the 23rd of November. And from the 23rd of November to the beginning of January 2003, you cohabited with the defendant. And as far as I am concerned, in the law, that makes a statement to me that this money that was used to pay household bills, which was the correct thing to do.
Well, you're
Goodbye.
wrong. You're dead wrong.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Step forward, please.
Jacqueline Hayes says she never got paid for babysitting Michelle Normandine's daughter. They used to be friends.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, it's number 82 on the calendar in the matter of Hayes versus Normandin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Hayes, you claim the defendant owes you $430 for babysitting that you did for her daughter.
Correct.
How did you find her as a babysitter?
Well, we were very good friends at the time.
And
we were very good friends, and she moved into the front house, my boyfriend's rental house, and her rent was raised up.
So she was your boyfriend's tenant?
Right. And her rent was up a little bit from where she was living, and it made it more difficult for her to be able to pay the daycare that she was paying, which she told me was $80 a week. And she asked me one day if I would do it for $50 a week. And I agreed. I agreed.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to have your turn. Go ahead.
I agreed because I'm a single mother. I was not working. I needed the money, and I wanted to try and help her out because we were friends, and I thought it was helping each other out.
So you started to babysit.
Uh-huh.
How long did you babysit?
I'd say approximately about 10 weeks. I did not.
Approximately.
It was a 10-week period. I don't know I know it was from May to July, but I didn't pay attention because it was through friends. It was just a verbal agreement. I didn't document the exact dates, but I was counting the weeks as they went on.
Did you babysit every day?
I believe it's 3 to 4 days a week.
According to your complaint, months went by or weeks went by and there was no payment.
And then I started asking for a payment, and she told me that she hadn't received the check from her husband's company yet for her child support. And so I said, okay, well, I'll continue. And then as time went on, she started bringing things home that she was buying and such and showing them to me. And I would ask her for $20 one day because I didn't have any money to feed my child that night, and she didn't have any money to give me. So I said, well, I'm going to have to discontinue the daycare because I need some money too, and I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. So then I discontinued the daycare. We stopped speaking for a while.
Is that why you stopped speaking?
Basically. We stopped speaking for a while, and then one day I came home and found $70 cash in an envelope, unmarked envelope, on my door. I assumed it came from her. So
did it?
Yes, it did.
So after a while, I thought, the pressure, the tension was just too much. Living next to each other, we were friends. I wanted us to remain friends, and so I asked again if she could give me any more money towards the outstanding balance, and I sent her a collection letter at that time. And she didn't respond because I sent it certified and there was no pickup. So we stopped speaking once again, and I sent her this collection letter, in which I have, if you'd like to read it. And this one states basically the whole story. And it's very nice, it's very professional, and I just wanted her to know that I was serious, that I would go file a claim if she didn't make some type of compensation.
Well, but I need more specific dates from you than you've given me about May.
I just know from May to July.
Well, the beginning of May, the middle of May.
Yeah, I would say the middle of May through July.
Now it's your turn.
I have receipts from the daycares that she was going to. Jackie offered to watch her. She volunteered to watch her a couple days a week to help me out because I was not receiving child support yet from my soon-to-be ex-husband.
Okay.
There was no set rate. There was no set days. There was no set weeks. She would always offer to cook, and she loved to barbecue. She'd have people over whenever at her boyfriend's house. I have, you know, there was no 10 weeks. There was maybe the most 2.5 weeks at the most.
I disagree
with that.
with
And she was paid $70.
Well, let me see. You say you have receipts from daycare during the periods of part of May, June, and July.
Right. My grandma has always watched my daughter from day one.
I mean, are you saying that this was not a daycare, this was your grandmother?
My grandmother watched, no, she started off watching her when I first got a job.
I'm talking about during that period of time.
Yes,
during this period of time,
she stayed,
May, June, and July.
Yes, I have receipts.
From whom?
From the daycare my daughter goes to.
From a professional daycare
Correct.
person or daycare
Yes.
provider. Can I see them, please? How many days a week were you working at that time?
5 days a week.
And how many days a week was your daughter going to daycare, this professional daycare?
The professional one, 3 days a week, and my grandmother would watch her 2 days.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about grandma. Well, you have something here that seems to be a full balance with tuition and how many payments you made starting August 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that from?
That's from the school she goes to right now, Sherry's preschool.
And this is August of '96 that you're referring to.
No, see, the week that I discontinued the daycare, she started going to
someplace
Sherry's.
else. Well, that's what this seems to say, August of '96. But I have to have some more specifics from you, Ms. Hayes. And that is, how many days a week?
I want to say it was 3 days, sometimes 4. Her grandmother did take her, I believe it was on Tuesdays.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
I had her at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4.
For full days?
For full days. I was at her house at 7 in the morning, and she would pick her up between 5 and 5:30 in the evening.
So you went to pick her up?
I would pick her up, yes.
She volunteered to do this so that way also her son has someone to play with.
No, I don't
Not
believe
for
it. I don't
free,
believe
I'm
that that's
sorry.
true, Miss Normandin.
No, I never said it was for free.
Right. I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that you watch
She was
another
paid
child.
$70. It wasn't for free.
Listen to me. I don't believe that you watch another child for 10 hours. How old is your daughter?
She's 3.
You don't watch a 3-year-old for 10 hours without being compensated, even for a friend.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She gave a phone number also.
So, what do you expect me to do? You want me to get off the bench and go call her?
Jacqueline Hayes says she never got paid for babysitting Michelle Normandine's daughter. They used to be friends.
You have shown me a receipt that you started the daycare, formal daycare in August, which pretty much coincides with what the plaintiff says. Therefore, I believe that you did have an arrangement, and your arrangement was to pay her $50, which I think was more than generous, on a 10-hour day watching a child, a 3-year-old toddler. You paid her $70. Certainly, in June and July alone, we have 4 1/3 weeks. That's almost 10 weeks right there. Part of May, you said, the middle of May, even giving her the benefit of the doubt that you started the end of May. That is your 10 weeks.
But here she was at Brenda's daycare, family daycare in Torrance until June 14th.
Listen to me. I don't believe that for 2 reasons. First of all, it's on a plain piece of paper, and I don't know who wrote it. Somebody who runs a business, a daycare center, a formal daycare center, has a letterhead. They have a letterhead that says this is what they are. They're licensed, right? This is on a plain piece of paper. I could have typed that in my den last night.
She gave a phone number also.
So, what do you expect me to do? Bring a witness. You want me to get off the bench and go call her? If I went and called her, would she tell me that in the entire month of June, your daughter was there 5 days a week? Is that what she would tell me?
She didn't say the whole entire
Just
month
a
of
second.
June.
Just a second. Maybe that's a good idea. If I went and called this lady, whose telephone number appears here, would she tell me that in the month of June, your daughter was there 5 days a week?
Not 5 days a week. No, my grandmother watched her the remaining other 2 days.
I don't believe that.
Well.
Your grandmother lives clearly in this area. If you had a witness, you bring a witness.
She has hip problems. That's why she continues to not watching her no more. That's why she goes to day care full time.
Hip problem doesn't prevent you from coming to court. Hip problem may prevent you from running after a 3-year-old toddler, but doesn't prevent you from coming to court. It's just convenient. All right. She owes you $500. She paid you $70. $430. Did I get that right, Bird?
You got it right.
$430?
I was very quick.
$430.
Judgment is for the plaintiff for $430.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was very hard living next door to each other. Our kids wanted to play together. They weren't able to because we weren't speaking. It was very, very difficult. I enjoyed her daughter. She's a wonderful girl. And I really enjoyed the time. But I needed to be paid as well as I was trying to save her money. Friends need to really take a look at each other and just show more respect for the ones that really care.
And now, the next case.
Parties on. Costanza versus Altshuler. Step forward.
Claire Costanza moved in with roommate Darlena Altshuler, and their friendship blew up in a month.
You two gals were former roommates, shared an apartment together. According to your complaint, your former roommate owes you for half a month's rent and half the security on an apartment that you shared together.
Yes.
You say that you gave her a check for your half of the month's rent. So far, is that correct?
Right.
And that she was supposed to pay the entire month's rent. You wrote a check for the entire month's rent. You gave it to the landlord. Correct?
Correct.
And then you had a fight and you stopped payment on the check.
Well, it wasn't like a fight. It was when I decided to give her notice that I would be moving out at the end of the month.
But you stopped payment on the check.
After her threats and...
I'll get to that in a second. I'll get to the fluff of this story in a minute. But bottom line, you stopped payment on the check and you kept the money, right?
Right.
Which included the half that she had given you.
Right.
Well, why'd you do that for?
Because I took my part of the security deposit and paid the rest of the bills that she mailed back to my parents' house.
Well, but you can't do that. She gave you the money to pay the rent.
And I had full intentions of paying the rent until she just completely blew up and threatened me, saying that I couldn't step foot anywhere near there. And so that's when I decided to stop.
Let's go back. How long did you live together?
A month.
All right, what happened? What was your argument about? When did it take place?
Well, I'm not sure what the threats are, but we had a dispute when she told me she was moving out. I guess I was upset that she was moving out, and I said, well, you have to pay the rent. She said she would, and she did for about 2 weeks. And then,
how did she pay the rent for 2 weeks?
Well, she paid the rent and then stopped payment. I found out at the end of the month.
The end of the second month?
Yes, July. My landlady had informed me that the payment was stopped on the check and that I needed to repay the rent or someone was responsible. And I told her to return the keys and she would not. I said, you don't live there. I think that you need to give them back. She took about a month.
Was she living in the apartment at the time?
No.
So this was after that all happened?
It was like the same day that she had moved all her stuff out. I called and said, you need to return the keys.
I see. And what day of the month was
July
that?
July 2nd.
And this was the rent for the month of July?
Yes.
When she wasn't going to be there, but you had already given her your half of the rent for that month?
Yes. On June 30th, I believe it was.
Okay, and how much was the security deposit that you put into the apartment?
It was $500 total, $250 each.
And how much was your part of the rent?
$307.50.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Two people who don't love each other should never room together.
Right.
But that's always a terrible beginning to a live-in situation. That's what keeps me in business.
Claire Costanza moved in with roommate Darlena Altschuler, and their friendship blew up in a month.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
I had full intentions of paying the month's rent. I told her on July 1st that I'd be moving out at the end of the month. She freaked out, so I moved all my stuff out that day with still full intentions of paying the month's rent. And then she started to, that's when she asked for the keys. I mailed the keys. They came back to me. Then I mailed them again certified so that she would receive them. She, she just said that I couldn't step foot near there. Why would I pay a month's rent if I wasn't allowed to, go anywhere near there?
I'm not even talking about your part of the month's rent. Let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about the money she gave you to pay for July. You kept that.
For my part of the security deposit.
But maybe you weren't going to get back the security deposit if you were breaking your lease without any notice.
It was a month-to-month.
But you're supposed to give notice even on a month-to-month.
That was my mistake. I didn't give notice to the landlord. I gave notice to her, and I know that. That was my mistake.
But you're supposed to give notice, because if you don't give notice, then everybody loses the security deposit. What happened with the security deposit?
It was forfeited for July's rent, and there's still $115 outstanding. I have the lease here that she signed.
Can I take a look at it?
And it says on a month-to-month tenancy there. It's highlighted.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You signed the lease. The lease says you're supposed to give the landlord 30 days notice. You didn't give the landlord 30 days notice because you said you moved out on the 2nd of July.
Right.
Well, even if you gave the landlord 30 days notice, that wouldn't be until the 2nd of August. Right?
Right.
So whether you gave her notice or whether you gave the landlord notice, you're still responsible for that rent. You are responsible for the rent for that month. Did you move into another apartment?
No, I moved back into my parents' house.
Got to read everything really carefully. How old are you?
19.
Okay. So it's a good lesson. You understand that?
Yes, but her side also, when you have someone that's threatening you bodily harm and spitting on you and stuff, and you want to get your money back, you understand that she tried to do it right. She paid the rent even though she was moving out. Granted, because she didn't do it to the landlord, it's wrong.
Stand up here.
Just because she didn't do it to the landlord, we agree that's wrong, but when someone threatens bodily harm and tries to spit on
I
it...
am pregnant.
You were.
And you were not there.
We have every message, word by word, written down.
Are you Miss Altschuler?
O'Brien.
Oh, Miss O'Brien. Two people who don't love each other should never room together.
Right.
Right? I don't know how long these young ladies knew each other before they decided to move in together. I don't know what the circumstances were. But that's always a terrible beginning to a live-in situation. That's what keeps me in business, these roommate situations.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Claire Costanza moved in with roommate Darlena Altschuler, and their friendship blew up in a month.
The plaintiff did, in fact, give her half of the rent, $307.50. The deposit, the security deposit, was forfeited because they didn't give 30 days notice to the landlord. When did you finally leave the apartment?
My last day would have been August 9th. I went through the walkthrough with her, with my landlady. I moved out, I think, on the 5th. I had another place I was moving into.
So it's because she used it for rent, as opposed to Darlena knew once she threatened her that she's never going to give her a deposit back. So what we should have done...
Who are you?
I'm her friend, and I've been there a lot more than she has. Darlena's mom was not there while any of this was going on, supposedly threatening. And I think Darlena's old enough to take care of herself. And I think, she's pregnant. Okay, if there's any threat, it's verbal, and you can deal with verbal since you've done the same thing back. And I'm sorry, but you weren't there. I was there. I was there.
Oh, so you listened to the messages?
No, I was there. I've heard the message that she left to Claire.
That's funny, because I was there when she
left.
Listen to me.
She can do it herself.
Your daughter made a poor choice of roommates.
Right.
She didn't get hurt. She safely moved back into the house. you cross it off to a bad experience and you learn from it. That's what you teach children as they're growing up. If you make a bad move, you try to learn from it and not recreate those mistakes as you get older. So the next time she will look further into the background of a roommate. And I'm not saying there was anything wrong with you. I'm just saying if that's the case, you look further before you jump into a situation where you expose yourself to living with somebody that you really don't know. She should learn from this experience. And the experience is going to cost her, I'm so bad in math, $557.50. Judgment is for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Parties on Opp versus Gallagher. Step forward, please.
29-year-old Julie Opp and her boyfriend, John Gallagher, a private investigator, drove to Mexico so Julie could live out a private fantasy, to dance in a strip club. But when the time came, John got jealous and a fight erupted at the border.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please. All rise.
Judges, number 7 on the calendar in the matter of Opp versus Gallagher. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Well, this is some story, depending upon the version. Bottom line, Miss Opp, you are suing the defendant, Mr. Gallagher, because you say he assaulted you on a recent trip to Mexico.
Yes.
Why you were there is somewhat in dispute. We'll get to that in a minute. He says that you assaulted him first. Something that you don't really deny in your papers.
Yes, I did.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. Were you his girlfriend?
We were girlfriend and boyfriend.
For how long? Before you took this trip, this
Probably
fateful trip?
a year and a half.
What were you doing in Mexico?
We originally went down there to get him some steroids and some medicine that takes you off of steroids.
No, that's not true, Your Honor.
Well, I'll get to you in a second. All right, so tell me when you left. You left for Mexico on what day of the week?
We left on the 17th. I don't remember what day of the week that was.
Was it on a weekend?
I don't even remember.
Were you planning on spending a few days there?
No, we just went there for the day to pick up his steroids.
So you left in the morning?
Yeah.
What time did you get there?
I think it was around 10.
In the
11.
morning?
Yeah.
So what did you do? Tell me about the day.
We got there and we went to the pharmacy to look for his stuff, and he wanted to find a doctor where he could get his steroids, and that took an hour or two, and then we went, had some tacos, drank a few beers, and basically that took a couple more hours. Then we went to a strip bar. We had previously talked about me dancing, and I said no, I'm not comfortable with it.
Well, tell me if that's what I find so interesting about this case. You went to a few strip bars and you talked about you dancing.
Well, before we went to the strip bar, we talked about it.
What was the conversation?
He wanted to see me dancing.
No. Oh.
Go ahead.
He wanted to see me dance because it was kind of like a fantasy thing between us. He just wanted to see it. I wasn't a dancer. He'd never seen me on a stage, and I told him if I did do it, I would need to drink a lot in order to get up there. And so we went to the strip bar. I drank a lot, and
you got pretty drunk?
I don't really get drunk because I get sick really easy, but I got tipsy. Definitely, I had to relax in order to do it.
Okay.
And so I drank. He said, "Come on, keep doing it, go do it." And finally, I did it. I went up there and I danced. And when I got down
at the strip bar.
Yes. And
Bambi's.
Do you have to? I mean, can anybody just go there and do this? Do you have to ask a manager?
Anybody can do it. There was other American girls there doing it too. And there was a bunch of Marines. It wasn't.
Okay. Feels foolish now, doesn't it?
I've never done it before.
Oh, okay.
And it was supposed to be something private between him and I, and it didn't end up that way.
So what happened? You danced?
I danced. I was done. We went to another bar, and he's like, do it here, and we're sitting there, and there was a girl dancing in front of us, and he says, give me $1, I want to tip her. I said, I'm not going to give you $1 to tip her. Use your own money. And we got into an argument from that point on. So we walked out of the strip bar, and we're arguing on the street, and he called me a whore, and I said, how could you call me a whore? You're the one who talked me into doing this. And he goes, I'm sorry. He goes, I shouldn't have said that. Hit me. And I go, no. And he goes, hit me, you're a whore. And he just kept saying it. Finally, I hit him. I mean, we were arguing. It wasn't just a calm thing.
So you hit him?
So I hit him.
Where'd you hit him?
I'm sorry?
Where did you
In
hit
the
him?
face.
One time or more than one time?
One time, and then he called me a whore and told me, hit me again, hit me again. So I hit him one more time. And then we grabbed a taxi.
3 times.
And then we grabbed a taxi, and we were driving back because we were going to get in trouble at that point. And he started calling me a whore again. So instead of hitting him, I grabbed my clog off my foot and hit him over the head. So I wouldn't hit him in the face. But tempers were not good, and he kept calling me a whore. And
he was pretty drunk too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
you get to the border.
We get to the border, and things have calmed down. We're back on this side. It's kind of over. I said I had to go to the bathroom before we go back. And in the parking lot where you park, there's a public restroom. And we went in there, and he starts arguing, and he's talking about it. And I said, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to argue. It's over. Let's just go home. It's been a bad day. And I tried to get out of the bathroom because I was done, and he wouldn't let me out of the bathroom. He kept arguing with me. And so I went to open the door, unlock the door, and get out. So it was hot and stinky. It's gross in there. And he wouldn't let me out. Finally, he grabbed me, and he pulled me away from the door and shoved me against the wall. And then that's when the back of my head hit the wall, and I passed out. And he was yelling at me, stop it, you're faking it, you're faking it. And I was looking at him saying, I'm not faking it, I'm passing out right now. And I was slumping down to the ground. And when I came to, because I kind of went out, when I came to, I noticed my hearing was gone. And then I became hysterical because I didn't know what was wrong. I'd never even heard of a ruptured eardrum. I didn't know what it was. I thought I had gone deaf for some reason. And I started screaming to him. We walked back to the car. He finally let me out, and we started to drive away. I said, take me to a hospital. This isn't normal. There's something wrong with me. Take me to a hospital. And he said, no, I'm not, you're fine. You're faking it. And so I grabbed my cellular phone because he wasn't going to take me to the hospital to dial 911, and he grabbed the phone and wouldn't let me call. And so because he wouldn't go to the hospital, I opened the door and pretended I was going to jump out. In order to let him know that I was serious, I needed to go to the hospital.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She would remain anonymous. No one would find out about this, and she could let her inhibitions go.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julia is suing ex-boyfriend John Gallagher, claiming he punctured her eardrum during a fight over her amateur stripping debut.
So you have medical bills that you want him to pay for?
Yes.
What were your medical bills?
One's the doctor's bill, which is $228.64. One is the lab bill, which is $267.24. And then there's the emergency hospital bill, which is $1,306.
Okay, Mr. Gallagher. You had enough water, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Let's hear your story. You went to Mexico.
I'll tell you the real version of the story. Actually, it started about a week before the date we went down. I can't recall the date, but the week prior, she had gone down to Mexico with a girlfriend named Melissa, done the same thing. She'd been flirting with the idea of possibly trying, dancing at nightclubs. And, can't blame her. She's, pretty attractive and can make a lot of money at it. So they had gone down and came back and told me the story how she had gotten up on stage. And I don't think she actually meant to, but she ended up getting up on stage, and she made a bunch of money. And she was kind of excited. And it probably was a fantasy thing also, but we decided to go down on that Saturday.
How much is a bunch of money? I'm just
She
curious.
had a lot of crinkle $1 bills, but I'm sure more than 100 of them.
$80. $80. It's not a lot of money.
She's probably on there for like 5 minutes and made $80.
This was before you made
I had
$80
gone the
when you went
weekend
down
before
there with the
With
girlfriend.
my girlfriend, I told him about it, and he said, I want to do that. And we talked about it.
So
and
you
I
went
said,
down the week before with Sean.
I said, I said that
You
I
went-
wasn't really comfortable with it.
But you went down a week before you made $80.
Right.
So she wanted me to go down with her
We're going
as...
to charge you for the water.
Can I get something better? So, a little nervous. She wanted me to go with her, partly as protection. Melissa couldn't go, and also a fantasy thing. But we didn't go down in the morning, and we did not go down to buy steroids. It's a lie. We didn't go down to buy steroids. We actually went down. It was dark out when
Ask
we were
him to take
driving.
his jacket off.
Yeah. We went...
What?
While we were there, well, we did go down, but it wasn't in the morning. It was dark out. It was probably like 7 or 8 o'clock when we started driving down. She drove her car, and we did stop at the border, and we parked in that parking lot and took the red bus. It's just this red bus you take in. It's like a mile. It costs $1. And I did buy some pharmaceuticals there. They were not steroids. I didn't go down to buy steroids. Then we started drinking, and actually went to a taco bar across the street from the strip bars, and we had some beers, and we went to, like, I think 2 other bars and drank a lot of tequila. We did get pretty drunk, and she got her courage up, and she really wasn't sure if she was going to do this, and maybe I did, provoke her a little bit to do it. We went to the first bar. I think it was Bambi's, and arrangements were made for her to go on stage, and she went on the backstage.
So let me stop you. How were arrangements made? Look. How
went
were
up-
arrangements made for her to go on the stage?
I was kind of like her agent.
Well, Mr. Gallagher, that's a conclusion, sir. Tell me exactly what you did to
Went up to,
make these
one of the-
arrangements.
Grabbed one of the guys, like the Mexican guys that worked there that spoke English, and said she wants to dance. And then at first they look at her and like, yeah, but they try to play hardball. No, we can't have her up. And we negotiate back and forth.
What do you negotiate about?
Just to get her on,
What negotiating usually involves money.
Yeah, well, she's going to
So
make
let me
money.
hear.
He wanted free
Oh,
drinks.
free beers for me.
Just a second. So you negotiated with one of the proprietors, or
I drank free, she got to dance. That was the negotiation. Oh, she got to drink free too, that was a given. And so we negotiated she was going to go on the backstage. I think she wanted to get on the front stage where she would make more money and have more exposure. This little room in the back with a small backstage. She gets up there and takes her clothes off, and hell breaks loose. I mean, they can't believe what they're seeing. She's very beautiful. I mean, the whole bar moves to the back where it's getting crowded while she's dancing and going off, and I mean, bottles start flying, and people are like getting so close to each other, and I mean, it was like a madhouse. And she starts, dancing, and I got, kind of jealous of her, to see her doing that.
so
but
you got angry.
I got angry and I got jealous. It was
Seriously?
painful. No, I didn't get angry. I tried to keep in perspective. Tried to. And
But you had a lot of booze.
we were getting drunk. We were drinking.
Well, she wasn't drinking when she was up there dancing, but you were continuing to drink when
She was
she was
drinking when
up.
she got down, though.
But you were drinking while she was dancing.
Yeah, but not
Okay.
as her.
She
And-
came down and you got angry. Tell me what happened.
No, I
when
didn't get
she-
angry. When she came down, we decided to go to another bar where she could do the same thing because it was kind of wearing thin there and it got kind of violent. They were going crazy when they saw her. So we went to a bar next door.
Were you fond of this lady?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not registered. Maybe it's my puritanical upbringing. That's not funny. That's not meant to be funny, sir. I just don't understand a man who would encourage. In fact, that I think she's nuts for wanting to do it in the first place.
Well, that's
but
what
a
she does
man
now.
who would encourage someone who he's fond of, negotiate, act as her agent.
Well, I'll make sure she's okay, and nothing would take place. I wasn't going to let anyone hurt her.
That's not what I'm talking about, sir. Usually there's a certain proprietary interest that
Well,
men
that's what
have
she
in
does
their
now.
women and women have in men that they like.
It was in
I
the
don't quite
secrecy.
understand you.
It was in the secrecy of Mexico where she would remain...
Order.
She would remain anonymous. No one would find out about this, and she could let her inhibitions go. And
His inhibition.
no,
All right. Yours
she
too.
drugged me
Listen,
down there.
you went there before without him.
Yes.
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 Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That sounds pretty reasonable
That's
to me.
why I asked
Both
him.
acted like idiots.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Gallagher admits he became jealous when his girlfriend Julia danced in a strip club, but he says he didn't mean to cause the injury to her eardrum.
I want you to tell me she assaulted you because you called her a whore. Is that right?
In the second bar, I did made the horrible mistake of calling her a whore. I did. It was
Okay.
horrible.
And tell me about the assault that took place on you?
Well, first, she lied because I didn't just hand the girl money. I was standing there, I felt guilty. I'm next to this girl dancing, and I took one of her dollar bills that she had just earned of hundreds, and I gave her one, and she got jealous and was pissed off.
Were you injured when she hit you?
The first 2 times she's hitting like a girl, it didn't hurt, and I did say, yeah, you hit like a girl, hit me again. She hit me again. Third time, she belted me so hard, my lip just exploded. Blood was coming out. And it almost knocked me down. Believe it or not, she can hit pretty good.
Okay, and what about hitting you with the clog in your head? She hit you with the clog.
Federales are coming, and it's an emergency, so they stuff us in the cab, and we're driving, but we just keep arguing in the cab, arguing back and forth, and she hits me in the back of the head with a clog, and I barely remember that, except the next day I had a big bump on my head. We get through the United States, like she said, we go to the parking lot to use the bathroom before wherever we're going to go. We're going to drive. We're both drunk. And she gets passionate again. We start arguing. We had moments of calm and fury where we kind of calm down. And she's that way. She can fight good. So, you know, I'm going to tell you the truth. I was drunk at the time. I can't remember every detail that occurred. But I know that she was starting to get angry again, and I don't know if she was going to hit me or I thought she was going to hit me or she tried to. Can't remember. But I know that I grabbed her and I picked her up. And she was wrestling. And she went limp.
This was in the bathroom?
In the bathroom. And she was flailing, and I was drunk, and I didn't know that she hit her head. She just went limp in my hands. And she sunk down to the ground on her butt. And she sat there and looked up at me, and then she started to say she couldn't hear. And I really thought she was embellishing something. I didn't believe her at first. And she started to cry and scream and get more hysterical. And I didn't believe that she was hurt.
Ultimately, you took her to the hospital.
And ultimately, we ended up at the hospital. Her injuries are obviously real. The doctor found out that she had a bruise here in the back of her left ear, I think. Left ear. And she was, I don't know if she lost hearing or not.
What did you originally offer to pay her to
When the bills came, we'd split it.
You'd split it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. You both acted like idiots. It sounds pretty reasonable to me that you should split it.
She probably did hit her head as a result of me lifting her up. I don't think on purpose. I know on purpose I didn't try to hurt her.
After you arrived back in the United States and after this whole incident, did you continue to see each other?
Yes.
Yeah. For how long?
About 4 more months until I kept catching him cheating on me. So I finally...
So you saw each other for 4 months after that? You had already gotten these bills?
Yes, I'd gotten it, and he's given me $25 on those bills.
50. I gave you 50.
25.
Did you ever take up this dancing as an occupation?
That's what I'm doing now.
Good, too.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julie Opp wants her former boyfriend, John Gallagher, to pay the medical bills for an injury he caused when he became jealous over her appearance in a Tijuana strip club.
I read medical bills at $1,800.
And then also, I was suing him for $300 because I had to get a restraining order against him.
That's your problem. Listen to me. Miss Opp, I think you made a big mistake. I think this whole escapade in Mexico was a big mistake, and I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying to you that getting drunk, and engaging in bar dancing with your boyfriend is not something that's designed to solidify a relationship in normal terms. Maybe I'm missing something. My kids might say to me, you know, you're operating in the 40s and 50s and 60s, mother, but I don't think so. I think still people who care for each other don't want to see other people slipping dollar bills in somebody's panties.
It wasn't that
Do you
bad.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and certainly not acting as their agent, which is, to me, almost like acting under these circumstances like a pimp.
It was pretty innocent.
It's pretty nasty. So you ought to pay for, I'm not going to have him pay for the whole thing. You contributed to this ridiculousness. And as it happens, I believe that you contributed to it even more than you initially told me you did, because you went down there before with a girlfriend, which is something that you didn't tell me right away. You said you had never done anything like this before. Right? Isn't that what you told me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so your medical bills, you didn't have any medical bills from being clocked by her, did you?
No.
No. Your medical bills were $1,800 and you're going to pay for half. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And on the next,
Fry versus Alexander. Step forward, please.
28-year-old model Tanya Fry claims professional photographer Sean Alexander sexually harassed her during a studio session and did not return her slides. Sean's witness, Vanessa Gill, says he's a total professional.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom.
Judge, number 42 on the calendar in the matter of Fry versus Alexander. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You're a model?
Yes.
Aspiring?
Yes.
So you have to smile. Mr. Alexander, you're a photographer.
Yes, I am.
You needed pictures?
Yes.
You hired him to take pictures?
Yes.
Now you're suing him
Yes.
for $1,000. Right? That's what you said.
That went up to $2,000 as of this morning.
Well, the papers that I have are for $1,000.
Good.
So why don't you tell me about this arrangement and why you think he owes you any money?
Well, he didn't agree to what we agreed in the first
Where
place.
did you meet him? Let's start with that.
The modeling management. Model. It's a model management.
Is that a company?
Agency.
An agency?
Modeling agency.
Was he referred to you by someone?
Well, he was there with my manager, and he showed me his pictures, his book, which was really good, that he took of other models. And yes, they did tell me his work was good. So, yes.
And what was the arrangement, the financial arrangement that you had with him?
I had to pay him, he said $250.
I didn't hear you.
It was $250, and that was for the photo shoot. I was getting 2 rows of pictures.
You were getting 2 rolls of pictures, or he was shooting 2 rolls of
He
pictures?
was going to shoot 2 rows of film. He said I would get 2 rows, which would be 72 pictures that I would get. Okay.
That you would get to keep?
That I would get, yes. That's what you do when you take pictures. You get your proof sheet, you get your negatives and your slides.
And what else was he supposed to give you for this $250?
Well, after I received the pictures from him, he does other things, or he does half of the job, you know, like the background change or the eye change or different things he do extra to the pictures. So that
he
would be
touches
extra
them up.
amount, right? Extra
I
amount
know
of money.
about that.
Okay, extra amount of money. So I paid for 4, which was $100, he said, and I have those 4.
4 photographs that you paid for out of your contact sheets.
This was,
And that was at $25 a piece, or another $100?
It was $100 for 4. Okay, I received those. Then we went back to the pictures. He brought some of the pictures. He said I would need 7 or 8 more pictures, so we picked 7 more pictures.
7 additional ones?
Additional ones.
At what cost?
$175. And then, because at the photo shoot, he only took cash. For these 4 pictures, he only took cash. He said only cash. Okay, so with these additional ones, only had a checkbook, and I had no more money. So I post-dated the check. He didn't want to take it, but before I left, he said he would take the check. So I post-dated the $175 check for those 7 additional pictures.
How long did you post-date the check for?
It was, about a week. Because it was, the week Thursday, and it was next Thursday, so it was a week.
Okay.
Which he had cashed it before the post-dated check. You understand? I didn't know they can do that, but
I didn't know either.
But he did, because
Okay.
I called the bank.
Okay.
Because I did not receive those 7 pictures, and I had been calling him, and he wouldn't return my phone calls to get me those pictures.
So that's what you're suing him for?
Yeah, for those pictures, and then the slides that I want also. The rest of my pictures, the slides.
You want the contact sheets and the negatives?
Yes.
Now, sir, let's start with the 7 pictures first. You cashed her check for $175,
Yes, I did.
and that was for 7 pictures.
7 pictures.
Where are her 7 pictures?
They're right here.
Take them out.
I mean, I have no problem with their testimony all the way to the end.
Okay.
Because, she's just about right. I mean, we had an agreement, and what happened was that she said, I'm went out of my way to make this arrangement for her. Starting from the beginning, I charge $150 a roll. 2 rolls, $150 times 2 is $300. She bargained it down, and she knows that. She said, I'd like to shoot with you. I've seen your work. It's great. I said, okay, you know what? I'll make it $250, but that's it. She comes to the shoot. We'll do 2 rolls. In the middle of the session, of course, when I'm shooting, I ask the client, I finished the rolls. Do you want to go on? And I added 1 extra roll, and I did not even charge her for it. And so I finished the job. She was very happy. When it came to the ordering, she just kept saying she doesn't have the money. I even went out of my way. What I did was I went ahead and printed the pictures without asking any money for it. I said, you know what, I'm so confident that you're going to like the pictures, so I'll show you, just pay me when you pick it up. She saw it, she liked it, and she ordered some more. But then again, we had money problem. And she said, well, can I post the check? I said, sure you can. I mean, I know you're good for it. You've been paying me. I have no problem with her. She's a very nice lady. I mean, I don't know why we are even here. But, she posted the check, and I told her, I said, number one, your check is posted for a week. I have to wait until I cash it because, I'm not going to print.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, and number two, I was going to go out of town for a week. I mentioned that to her, and I said, when I come back, I pick up the picture and I'll give it to you.
How long did it take you to do the other 7 pictures after she had given you the check? No, not usually. In this case, how long was it before you completed those pictures?
About a week to 10 days.
Okay. Can I see the photographs?
Sure.
I would really like to see them. Now, the only other thing that I have to ask you, sir, is about this arrangement where she would get all the negatives and the
It's not my practice whatsoever. I have hundreds of receipts here that I always mention on the bottom of my receipts. If they ask for it, I'll write it down. I do not include the picture. I do not include any negative or slides. It is just for the session. I charge $150 just to shoot. I even brought my witness that we just shot yesterday, and this is my just a very last and desperate attempt to get somebody, because I had somebody to show up today and she canceled. She had a shoot. I had a model was supposed to be here.
Well, what is she going to tell me if she was testifying?
She was going to actually just basically how I charge people and how I usually,
All I can tell you, Miss Fry, is these are terrific. Have you seen them?
I never seen.
Well, I would love you to take a look at them. I think that they're really exceptional.
No, I've never said that he does the good work, but I have another comment about the amount. Actually, was $2,000. Posted in
Whether it was $2,000, I don't know what you're suing for $2,000 for. $1,000. Just a second. I don't know what you would be suing for $1,000 or $2,000 for.
Right.
To be honest with you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was behind me, okay, grabbing my rear, telling me again how attractive my butt looked, how good it looked, making all these sexual comments.
And later today,
tying their shoelaces together, sir, is a far cry from using a cigarette lighter and setting somebody on fire.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Photographer Sean Alexander denies that he took liberties with model Tanya Fry during a photo session, and his witness Vanessa Gill says Sean has a spotless reputation.
Now you have all 7 pictures that you paid for.
Okay,
right? Just a second. Just a second. And I think that if you had not had a final written agreement with regard to these negatives, I would not award you the negatives, because I don't believe it's custom in the industry for a photographer to give away the value of his trade, because that means that you can take these negatives and go into any photocopy store and say, I want you to make me pictures. Well, that's how he makes his money, because $250 for a photo shoot is very reasonable, right?
More than reasonable.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So photographers make their money, professional photographers, over the other pictures that you keep ordering from them. So I think it's unreasonable for you to ask for those. He was supposed to shoot 2 rolls, and from those shot rolls, you were going to select other pictures that you were going to order. In this case, you ordered a total of 11 pictures.
I even shot extra rolls.
Well, that wasn't said. The said was, you'll get 72 pictures, which would be more than enough what you would need for your book. So
I still don't understand why you're suing him.
I think she's suing.
Well,
I still don't understand why you're suing him for $2,000. Then we'll get to this watch that you're holding. Is that her watch?
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
that's
that's what it
another-
is, cost $2,000. I don't know. I mean,
And
that's
then-
what she...
Just a second. Was that left during the photo shoot?
Yes.
So give it back to her.
And then
Take your watch.
the other incident was the harassment.
What
during
kind of harassment?
The photo shoot, the sexual harassment.
I can't believe it.
That was
All right, so you're suing for sexual harassment. Let me hear. Is that
Okay.
what the
Yes.
money is for? Let me hear.
changing in the room.
In what room?
It was in the dressing room at this house.
I have a
'cause that's-
makeup...
Jump. I'm going to get to you. Go
It
ahead.
was during this shoot that I was changing from the bathing suit to get in this position. He was behind me, okay, grabbing my rear, telling me all these accusations, how sexy, how attractive, ooh, how this looks so good, my behind, grabbing it. That was one incident. This
Just a second. At
photo
what sta-
shoot right here.
Just a second. At what stage was this?
During the photo shoot, toward the end of the photo
Okay.
shoot.
Go ahead.
Okay. During this photo shoot, he told me I had to raise it up more, the dress, put it up or on the side. So he came over there behind me. He did it again. Hit me on the butt, telling me again how attractive my butt looked, how good it looked, making all these sexual comments. I was ready to leave. I told him, don't say that, don't do that. I said I was ready to go.
Did
Are
that
we
happen?
done?
Did that happen, sir?
It's total bogus. Let me tell you, throughout the photo shoot, I do make the models feel comfortable, and I do say certain things so they are comfortable. I pose them. I do whatever it's necessary to make him look good, and that's what the pictures are the proof. You can tell. But as far as she said she was ready to leave. She was ready to leave to have. She even said maybe want to go get something to eat. That's as far as I left it at the photo shoot, and that was it.
Miss Fry, I have a couple of questions for you. You did this photo shoot. Towards the end of the photo shoot, you tell me now you believe he sexually harassed you. You stayed, correct? You stayed. Is that right?
But I told him don't do it.
And after the photo shoot was concluded, you got the proofs back, right? And you selected 4 photographs. So far, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were satisfied with them, you ordered them. Is that right?
I mean, you should.
Do I look
Sorry.
like I need help?
No, no.
Miss Fry, look at me.
Yes.
You ordered 4 pictures.
Yeah.
And you were satisfied with them. You told them they were very good, and so good you wanted more pictures, correct?
Yes.
If you had gotten your 7 pictures when you felt you should have gotten them, which was a couple of weeks ago, would I hear sexual harassment from you? Would
If
I
I would
hear
have
these
gotten-
allegations of sexual harassment from you?
Yes, because they were true. It happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This
How
is
many
the first
photographers have
time.
you been with?
Several.
Really? You seem to be a little
Yes.
bit naive to me on the situation. I'm
Well,
sorry
who
for
are
that.
you? You need to shut up and mind your own business.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Model Tanya Fry is suing photographer Sean Alexander over slides and alleged harassment.
Is what you're saying to me, you planned on suing him whether he gave you the pictures or not?
About the sexual harassment?
Is what you're telling me
Yeah.
that you intended when you left,
right,
or a day later or 2 days later, whether or not you got these photographs, you intended to sue him for $2,000 for sexually harassing
Oh,
you?
no. I was not sure of what I was going to do about those sexual
Well, what
harassment
made you sure?
charges. I wanted to let them know what was done to me during
What
a photo shoot.
No, what I'm asking you is, at what point did you become sure that you wanted to sue him for this sexual harassment? After you ordered the first set of pictures, before you ordered the first set of pictures, when you ordered the second set of pictures?
The second. That's when I found out that I could not get my slides or negatives when he told me he was not going to give them to me because he keep them for his record.
So you determined to sue him for this $2,000 for sexual harassment when he declined to give you the negatives. Is that correct?
When I didn't get all of my things.
Very good. Okay, you now have your photographs. Is that correct?
I have some of them.
No, you have all of them. You have all that you ordered, which were the 7 retouched large photographs. And you have the 4 that he originally gave you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you, sir, have been paid $175 for these
Yes.
And you have been paid the $100 for the other 4?
Yes.
Correct? And you have been paid $250 for the photo shoot?
Yes.
Very good. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm sorry, Tanya, but I think, you went a little bit out of line.
No, I did
You
not.
know I did everything I
I did
could.
not.
You know I did everything
No,
I
I did
could.
not.
Okay? I think the judge saw the whole thing. This is just ridiculous, but I'm glad it's over. So.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hanley versus Lewis, step forward, please.
25-year-old landscaper Lawrence Handley says Richard Lewis set his shirt on fire to wake him up. Lewis says Handley had previously set off a firecracker at his feet.
Why in the world would you burn him with a cigarette lighter?
Well, it was kind of a practical joke. I wasn't intending to burn him. I was just intending to make his arm warm. It's just a gag, like a hot foot or something like that.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
Tell me how it happened.
We were waiting at my friend Scott's house here. It was after a softball game.
A what?
A softball game.
Softball game.
And we were going to go out for a couple cocktails after the game. A few people were supposed to meet us there. I fell asleep while we were waiting.
Where, in the living room?
Yeah, in the living room, in a chair in his house. I woke up, I felt or smelt something burning on my arm, and I kind of hopped up, and my shirt was on fire. And I jumped out of the chair and, started hitting my arm, and my arm was burned up, and I kind of looked around. I was in a daze. I'd just woken up, and I see him, and actually Scott was laughing too. I see him cracking up right next to me. Sort of found out that...
Did you ask him why he did that?
He basically told me, oh, well, I was trying to, get you or something like that, burn your arm or light your hair on fire or something ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I don't know. He was still laughing up a storm about it, and I wasn't too pleased, so.
You still have a mark there?
Yeah, I do.
Can I see it, please? Step up.
Step up. It's smaller than it used to be, but it used to be about as big as a baseball.
How long ago did that happen?
4 or 5 months ago.
Did you see that, sir?
This is the first time I saw it when he showed it to you.
You want to see it? Sure.
Well, he wants some damages for your stupidity.
Well, Your Honor, it's, in all fairness, our group of friends, when someone passes out or goes to sleep, we play practical jokes on him before. I know for a fact that he's done it to other people, tie people's shoelaces together. That's why I have a witness to corroborate.
Tying their shoelaces together, sir, is a far cry from using a cigarette lighter and setting somebody on fire.
Well, I wasn't intending to light him on fire.
At age
That's the whole
27.
thing.
What were you trying
Do you work?
Well, yeah, I do.
Well, just
if I
a second.
start acting like I'm 27, I'm going to be 27. If I act like a kid, I'm going to be young for the rest of my life.
What kind of work do you do?
I sell copy work and graphics work to law firms, Overflow.
That's amazing.
That sounds like a pretty responsible position, sir.
It is.
So when do you take on this infancy that you do? Just on weekends?
I like to have fun, in all fairness too. In previous, I think it was last year on 4th of July, he thought it was a cool gag to throw a firecracker at my girlfriend and I, and scared her pretty good. It pissed me off real good.
What?
And, he just laughed it off and everybody laughed, and, it was funny to him,
Anybody get hurt?
No, but,
I don't even know what he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about either. He's talking about trying to be Peter Pan for the rest of his life.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's suing you for $2,500 because he said he got burned and it hurt and it got infected.
I have a shirt too, by the way.
Let me see it.
It's kind of
That's
dirty.
pretty scary.
I haven't washed it since then, but
It's pretty scary. Did you ever say I'm sorry?
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
When? Just a second. When did you say I'm sorry?
At the time, we were still all laughing, so I probably didn't take it.
Who was laughing?
I was. Scott was as well.
I'm laughing too. $2,500 for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. I'll be back to your right.
On the next Judge Judy.
Step forward, please.
22-year-old insurance salesperson Dania Norris says former roommate Krista DeReamer, age 22, skipped out on rent and fees. Krista is countersuing Dania for telling her parents she was an exotic dancer.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 465 on the calendar in the matter of Norris versus DeReamer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Norris, how long did you know the defendant before you invited her into your home?
I knew her approximately 2 years, but we had lost contact for an entire year.
There came a time, according to your complaint, that the defendant was having some difficulty and left her family's home and moved into your home.
Correct.
And you say she was there for about 4 months?
About 3 months.
And that she left owing you some money?
Yes.
What was the rental agreement that you had with her?
It was $100 a month for rent. At a common courtesy, I expected a month of notice. 1/3 utilities, help out with groceries, which she did. She paid for utilities in October, but she still owes for November and part of December.
Okay. And according to these papers, she moved out on December 12th.
Correct.
So you want her to pay the whole month of December? Okay. And what else does she owe you for?
She owes $70 for late fee. We gave her the opportunity to pay the rent, and it never came. So I figured $10 a day, and then I decided to take it to court.
$10 a day? For late fees?
7 days. And then I decided to take it to court. I had already given her 2 weeks.
It doesn't seem like an awful lot of money that you're suing for, $294. So there must be another reason why you're bringing this lawsuit, because you had to take time away from whatever else you do. I assume you work?
Part-time.
Who is this?
This is my husband. He's also my witness.
And I assume he works?
Yes.
So you took time off from whatever business you had to do, so there must be something more to this than $294.
No, we just took her in. She was pregnant. Basically would have given her the shirts off our back, and she stabbed us in the back.
So, I'm listening.
My side of the story. Well, I had known Dania. It's true that I had known her for 2 years. And I was telling her about my situation. I told her I was pregnant, and I said, you know, I just know that my family's going to kick me out. I know that my boyfriend's going to bail on me, and I think that I should have an abortion. And she said, no, we want you to keep it, and to do that, we're willing to help you out. We want you to stay with us. We're going to give you encouragement, and all we ask for is that you pay $50 for groceries. And so I did, to my best ability, fulfill that. And they were constantly fighting all the time. After I lost my baby, they started asking for $100 rent. You know, as if losing my baby and my family and the boyfriend wasn't enough. You know, can we get $100 out of you because we spent too much on our credit cards? And I just got fed up with it because the bills kept coming.
But you did pay her $100 at least twice for rent.
Because she said she didn't have food to feed her baby.
No. That means if you didn't have food to feed the baby, then maybe you give her $20. So clearly, based upon what she's saying, you did have some arrangement with her to give her rent. Were you working?
I was.
Well, if you were working when you moved in with her and her husband, then you should pay rent, right?
Right.
Of course.
I have a paper here. This is Krista's handwriting. She even has written on it, rent utilities, $153. Looks like a monthly thing to me.
Well, let me take a look. Let me ask you this question. What did you write up this little sheet of paper for? To see what your expenses were?
Indeed.
Indeed. All state insurance, $153. What is that for?
Auto insurance.
For a
car
that belongs to you?
Yes.
Okay, so you have a car. What kind of car do you have?
Ford Probe.
And you pay $153 a month so that you can drive the car.
Yes.
And Colorado National Bank, $3,000. What was that for?
It was a leftover expense from my fiance and I's bank account.
Mm-hmm. You have a credit union payment?
Mm-hmm.
$2,000. Payment is $163. What kind of work do you do?
I work for Allstate Insurance.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you worked for them?
I've worked for them for 4 months.
And prior to that, who were you working for?
I was working for Home Depot.
In what capacity?
I was a cashier.
Okay. So you built up a lot of debt here.
Indeed.
Indeed you did. But one of the debts you had, madam, was to pay rent. Because you drive a car, you pay insurance, you buy clothes. According to this, you buy a lot of other stuff. And you even list here what your bills are, $153 rent and utilities. Right? So how can you say you didn't have an agreement with her to pay rent?
I didn't have a written agreement. I never had a key to the house. My things were never secured.
Look, you weren't a prisoner there, were you?
No.
So if you didn't like the accommodations, you pick yourself up, you pack up your little suitcase, and you leave.
I had nowhere to go.
That's not her fault, that's your fault.
It's true.
Come on. You had a verbal agreement that you would pay her $100 a month, you didn't pay it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was in the process of redeveloping a relationship with my family, and because of what she said to them, they won't talk to me anymore. I live across the street, they don't even wave.
And later today,
next thing I hear this verbiage, "Here I come, Herbert." He swung around with his fist and hit me in the right eye, and there was blood everywhere, and I couldn't see out of my right eye.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Dania Norris is suing former roommate Krista DeReamer for running out on the rent. Krista says Dania slandered her by telling her parents she was a topless dancer.
Look, what you are suggesting as far as late fees, I think is excessive. I really do.
I also have some pictures, if you'd like to take a look at them.
Yeah.
One of them is probably not appropriate. Used condoms that were left between the mattresses and the wall.
She left the place a mess. Is what you're saying, she left the place a mess? I don't have to see the pictures. Now, these things that you are suing her for, a piece of the power and light, a piece of the phone, piece of the trash, piece of the water, cleanup fee. How much did you pay to clean up the place?
We didn't clean anything, but I figured our time and effort to throw away the trash and the dead flowers is worth $10. It was very disrespectful.
She was disrespectful. Now, we don't come up to a lot of money here. I'm going to address myself to your countersuit, which, at least on paper, looks like nonsense. You're countersuing for $1,200. In 3 minutes or less, tell me why.
The reason being is because I was in the process of redeveloping a relationship with my family, and because of the night that she decided to go and tell them that about my past work experience, that they won't talk to me anymore. I live across the street, they don't even wave. My father had agreed to pay for my medical expenses for a year so that I could get back on my feet after my miscarriage. And because of what she said to them, I'll never have my family back, and I feel that the least I should get is my health.
Where's your father?
In Colorado.
Well, let me explain something to you. You are asking me to assume that if she said anything to your father, it's because of that, in his mind, that he's not talking to you.
That's right.
Well, I can't do that. No court's going to do that. It's ridiculous. So your counterclaim is dismissed, and I'm giving you a judgment for $114. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Out the back door to your right.
We went over to her parents' house to see if they were willing to bail her out of trouble again, and they said that she's been lying to them ever since they can remember.
I would say that they're small-town people that think small.
And now the next case.
Parties on Herbert versus Ryan. Step forward, please.
58-year-old salesman Greg Herbert claims roommate 39-year-old marketing rep Chris Ryan assaulted him, causing severe eye injury.
Now, are you neighbors? Is that what I understand this to be?
We were living in the same house, Your Honor.
In the same house?
Same house.
Not an apartment house, a private house?
It's a cottage, a 3-bedroom house.
And how long had you been living there together?
I had been there over a year. He had been there 4 or 5 months, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, he assaulted you?
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
On the evening of December the 5th, 1997.
And tell me the circumstances surrounding the assault, sir.
I was on the telephone this one evening about 5 in the afternoon, and I heard a lot of noise out in the front of the house, barking like a dog, and general commotion. I went out the front door, and Mr. Ryan was sitting in a chair right outside the front door with one of the neighbor's kids, and he was making a lot of noise and barking. So I said, please, you keep the noise down. I'm on the phone to San Francisco. I can't hear. I went back to my room. The noise continued. I went out, it said the same thing a second time. Went back, third time, same thing. No abatement of noise, no apologies or anything. The fourth time I went out, closed the door, I locked the door, went back into my room, got back on the phone. A couple of minutes later, I heard the screen being torn out of my window, which is, my desk is facing the wall, my back is to the window. The drape is closed over the window. Next thing I hear this verbiage, "Here I come, Herbert." He vaulted into the room onto my bed. My bed is right underneath the window. I got up from my chair, starting to get a little fearful, went through the door. He swung around with his fists and hit me in the right eye. He was on my left. I was just reaching towards the door. All of a sudden, there was blood everywhere. And just to show you, Your Honor, this is my shirt that I was wearing at the time. These are my jeans that I was wearing. They have been washed once, but there are still blood stains visible. I have a cordless phone on my desk. I reached around, picked up the phone to dial 911. He grabbed hold of me, pulled me down, grabbed the phone out of my hand. So I immediately just got up, went into the bathroom. There was blood everywhere, and I couldn't see out of my right eye. I went over the sink. There was blood coming down to the sink, picked up a towel. He came into the room beside me and says, "Why did you get in my face?" So I said, well, I'm blind in one eye. I'm going to hospital.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're not living together, are you? Did you move out?
He moved out at the end of the month.
He moved out.
In December, yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Greg Herbert is suing Chris Ryan for punching him in the eye.
Okay, Mr. Ryan. Let me hear you, sir.
On the day that we're talking about, I was on the porch, and I did have one of the neighbor kids over, and he was singing, and that's when Mr. Herbert came out. Not any dog barking. Mr. Herbert came out the door, yelling at the top of his voice, telling us to quiet down. We're disturbing his peace and quiet in the bedroom. Went back in his room. Oh, first he told me he was going to kick my butt. Then he went back in the house and locked the door. He didn't come out 3 or 4 times. He came out once. I tried to get in the house. The door was locked. I tried all the other doors. They were locked too. I worked my way around to the back of the house where Mr. Herbert's window was. When I got to the window, I believe I surprised him. I have known Mr. Herbert for about 10 years and known Mr. Herbert to be extremely paranoid. I believe that when I caught Mr. Herbert off surprise, his paranoia and his hyperactivity, he lunged up to close the bedroom window, and he has a futon bed directly behind his desk. That's when he slipped and fell into the window. I, not knowing what was happening, put my hands up, and that's when I think his face hit the screen, which hit my hand, popping the screen off, cutting his eye. That's when he dialed, apparently, 911, walked out of the room, and that's when I came in the house, the only entrance I had. I didn't know what he was going to do, and that's what happened. And the police came. They took a police report. There were no arrests made. Loss of wages? The guy sells surfboards. How could he lose any wages? I didn't touch the gentleman, and that's what happened.
Now, is this a one-story house?
It's a one-story house.
And how many windows are there in the house?
Approximately 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So the only window that was available to you to go in was the window in his room?
I tell you, the reason why that is because the other gentleman there, Mr. Warner, who was our landlord, he's extremely paranoid too, and he wouldn't let me leave the house without having all the windows locked. Wouldn't let me leave my room without locking all the windows. Mr. Herbert was the kind of...
So what you're telling me is of the 10 or 12 windows, which I assume you tried, Mr. Ryan, correct, before you went into his window?
Well, yes, I did.
You tried all of the other 9 or 10 or 12 windows before you found that the only possible way of getting into the house was to enter through his bedroom window. Is that correct?
It was not to enter through his window. It was to get to his window and attempt to get him to open the front door for me. But again, because
But you wound up, sir, in his room.
I wound up in his room after...
You wound up in his room?
Yes, I did.
Did he pull you into his room?
No, he didn't.
Well, did some force greater than both of you force you into his room?
There's no force. I told you after Mr. Herbert walked out of his bedroom, me not knowing what his next move was, I came in through the window to get back into the house.
Now, how high up was the window?
Shoulder height, I would say.
So you had to sort of lift yourself up. It's not a walk-in window.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me understand this. Because of the landlord, you're the landlord?
No, I'm the original tenant.
Okay, because of this gentleman and his paranoia, all of the other 12 windows on the first level were bolted. So the only place that you could go was to his window. And you never entered into the room until after he somehow fell on the screen, which caught in somehow contact with your hand.
He didn't actually fall on the screen.
Which somehow hit his eye.
Well, it kind of sounds like you're kind of putting words into my mouth, Your Honor.
Listen, sir, I couldn't understand, quite frankly, your explanation.
I just told you, he jumped up.
He jumped up.
He slipped on the bed apparently behind him, lunging to get the window closed, apparently because of his paranoia.
What do you mean closed? Was his window open?
Oh, yeah, the window was open. His bedroom window was open.
And no screen in it?
No, it did have a screen on it.
So
the
what
screen popped off after he fell into it. Bonk. Screen pops off.
It popped off outside or inside?
Outside.
It popped off outside, and somehow when it popped off, he cut his eye?
I think when he fell from slipping on the bed into the screen. Look at the shape the gentleman's in.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's my job to try to evaluate the evidence that's presented before me, what sounds as if it's common sense, logical, and what sounds as if it's a crock of baloney. On that side, we have a crock of baloney. Flying screens, slippage, bolted windows. Now, Mr. Herbert, I will tell you now, sir, that I don't excuse you for locking the door. I mean, you know, he's supposed to have access to the house, so that what you did was wrong to lock the door. But I don't think that that in any way contributed to what happened to you, because Mr. Ryan, if he were acting in a normal, adult fashion, could have either called the landlord, called the police, and say, I've been locked out of my house. The response is not to come flying into your bedroom window and socking you in the eye. That is not a normal, adult, reasonable response. So while it was not the right thing to do to lock the front door, you're not living together, are you? Did you move out?
He moved out at the end of the month.
He moved out.
In December, yeah.
For everyone, I'm sure, Mr. Ryan. Mr. Herbert, you are suing the defendant for $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Based upon the... Based upon what I've seen here, you're entitled to your $5,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You want to do anything else? You want to do anything else?
Do I look like I'm feeling bad?
And $50 court costs. Thank you.
Excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a...
Camera is coming. देख बस एक चीज नोट कर और कितना एक अच्छा ना इधर ये जगह कितना देख इसका हार्ट सर्कल देख बॉल पिचिंग नहीं करना है ताकि you can see the cracks on the pitch